welcome in to our hockey podcast.
As of yet unnamed.
Right now, we don't have a name for it. Don't worry, we will figure that out.
Figured out.
So anyways, we are two big hockey fans. I'm Dakota,
I'm Jake.
and we would like to share this fandom with two more of our friends, Dylan
Hey,
and Devin.
Hello.
It could be said that we're forcing it upon them. They would never say that.
No, they're definitely not taped to chairs in a basement as we speak.
Yes. Perfect. The tape is covering his mouth, so he can't speak during the podcast.
Good podcast.
No, it's okay. We'll just do the Disney CG face thing to make it look like he's talking, and it'll be okay.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, we're a couple hockey fans. It's the greatest sport, probably on this planet.
I might say even on other planets, hockey's pretty cool.
If you're an alien with a better sport, show it to us. Otherwise, you ain't got shit.
And also, you're objectively wrong.
Like I said, we're trying to share our fandom here with our friends and to anybody else who may be listening to this, our first episode. We are huge Colorado Avalanche fans, and so this podcast is going to have an Avs-centric spin to it, because frankly, they are what we know the best, but we are going to try in future episodes to be a little bit more general. We want to start off this one here because the season is coming up as we're recording. First game of the season tomorrow night, Avalanche versus Blues. And so we want to share a little bit of what to look out for, what to expect, stuff like that in this episode. So if that's not what you're into, stick around because we will go over a little bit of hockey basics for people who may be new to the game. But if you're not worried about the specific matchup, you can skip over that section. We should have it in the show notes.
Yeah, we've been lifelong hockey fans. And now that the Avs are arguably the best they've ever been, we're making these two guys bandwagon fans.
Hell yeah,
You'll
dude.
get on this bandwagon if you know it's good for you.
Because the Avs are fucking real good this year,
They're
dude.
real fucking good this year. So just a quick about us, about me and my buddy Jake here. Why do you want to learn hockey from us? Why do you want to hang out with us, listen to us, talk and spew words? Just a little bit of insight onto our view of the game and specifically the Colorado Avalanche. So Jake, you've expressed to me many times you've been interested in trying out sports and you've given them a fair shake, but for you, there's only one that is king, and that is the sport of hockey. Explain that a little bit. Why is hockey your go-to?
The main reason is that hockey is cool and other sports are not. I don't know. I feel like hockey is a lot more flow-based, a lot more active, a lot more exciting. I feel like there's a lot more that goes into it on a granular level, like the moment-to-moment decision-making and stuff.
Yes.
All sports are complex and require a lot of skill, but not all sports have people flying around ice with knives on their feet using sticks to shoot rubber pucks into small spots. Hockey's fucking cool. But yeah, I grew up liking the Avs kind of tangentially. My mom cut their hair a couple times.
Yep.
And so we went to games. I got to meet them through that. And then, one day Dakota was like, hey, you want to watch hockey? And I was like, yeah. And now we're Avs fans.
Yeah.
Like die hard, I should say.
Yeah. Die hard. We follow this sport pretty closely. We keep up on the news of not just the Avalanche, but for other teams. Like I said, the Avs are what we know best. So we're sticking with that for a little bit. A little bit about myself. I am a person who enjoys some sports. Sports of all kinds. I will probably sit down and watch just about any sport if you put it in front of me. It always helps to have a rooting interest. So I'm not super huge on soccer, though I can appreciate good soccer highlights, stuff like
He's
that.
a big water polo guy.
A big water polo guy. Like, man, I mean, it's like hockey, but in the water. Can you imagine swimming and doing that shit? It's fucking insane.
I can't imagine swimming. I'm fat.
So I used to be a big football guy. Became kind of disillusioned with the franchise I was following that currently does not have a name because their owner is a big fucking baby.
Washington sports franchise.
Yeah, the Washington football
football.
team. Yeah, they've never had a name before that, and the guy just get it together, man.
Figure it out.
But so with the Avalanche, it's kind of a coming home situation for me. So I'm from Colorado, and back in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, Colorado had a really big kind of like sports boom. In 93, they got the Rockies. 95, they got the Avs. The Avs won a cup. Broncos won in 96 and 97, or 97, 98. I'm not a huge Broncos fan, so sorry. I was born in 94, so I was very young when this was happening and probably couldn't appreciate it. But I watched a lot of baseball and hockey with my grandpa, who passed away in 97. But it was a big family thing we used to do together. And when I was a kid, I didn't have the attention span to really watch hockey because 82 games is a lot. But one day we randomly heard some news that like some hockey team was doing something cool, so I told my mom about it. She just offhandedly mentions, "Hey, when's the season start?" Looked it up, and wouldn't you know it, this season opener was the next day. And my mom wanted to really watch it because of that connection with my grandpa, and it was kind of falling back in love because it was a game I really enjoyed when I was like a baby, just watching. But it is a lot cooler now that I can understand what is going on, I assure you.
Yeah, you got your family into it, you brought me into it, and then all of us were rewarded with watching the 16-17 Colorado Avalanche.
Yes, I forgot to mention that season opener was the one where Joe Colborne got a hat trick and proceeded not to score another goal for another 50 games, and the Avalanche had the worst season of any team since the salary cap was instated, so that was good times. I watched basically every game of that season.
Same.
So you start low and your expectations can only go up, and my god, are they up now. Joe Sakic, you're a beautiful human being, and thanks for bringing joy back into my life again, because that was soul-crushing.
Yeah, I fell in love with hockey during that shit, so, I'm gonna like pretty much anything else I see after that.
So that's me and Jake, but let's learn a little bit more about the other two members of our podcast here. Dylan, what do you hope to gain from this experience, if you hope to gain anything?
Generally, I am not a sports person. I even tried to follow esports for a while, and I just couldn't. So I'm hoping to gain an appreciation for watching and seeing these guys compete on the ice.
I have to say, I don't like esports either.
Yeah, I've never been a big esports guy. I'm not really one for the individual performance aspect.
Yeah. I was just like, I can't watch competitive stuff all that well, even if I partake in it. Because there was a time where I was heavily into Overwatch, and I couldn't watch competitive Overwatch. I just doesn't do anything for me.
Overwatch had a reputation for being unwatchable for a long time until they did some stuff to kind of make it better, and I still found it unwatchable, but that's the reputation it had. I also don't think Siege is very interesting. I just don't think esports are great to watch, but that's a personal thing. I know a lot of people dig that shit.
If it's your thing, we won't judge you at all. Everybody's got their shit.
Might.
And finally, what about you, Devin? What do you hope to take away from this experience doing the podcast and watching more hockey?
Well, for me, it's rather similar to what Dylan had to say. The closest I've ever gotten to sports was like playing with my friends, which is not nearly similar. Similar to him with Overwatch, I had a similar thing with CS. Except I actually did enjoy watching it when I did, but I didn't get into it because like it was very hard for me to follow because like I had never been into a sport. But since I have you guys guiding me this time, maybe something will click and I'll actually have an interest in following.
And if we get to the end of this and you don't, you gave it a good fucking try.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going pretty all in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've already expressed that you're going to try to put your all into this when we were discussing it. You mentioned maybe you would try to watch every game this season, which is a little bit more than we expected of you. And I'm not going to be upset if you end up not holding that promise, but it is quite a commitment for sure.
Yeah, the expectation that we have is that me and Dakota will probably watch every game because we do that anyway.
Yeah.
And that for these guys, we'd probably think like 1 to 2 games a week, depending on, the series makeups. Because of COVID, we're playing a bunch of teams, we're playing the same team multiple times. If they're just trying to get in the game, we can probably watch the last game of the series and call it good. So,
yeah.
We don't want to have the load too excessive.
Yeah. We're thinking this will end up being a weekly thing. The reality of COVID is horrible and has really changed the way that we view the world nowadays. But it has made it quite easy for us as a podcast because since we're doing this weekly and they are playing lots of back-to-back and 3-in-a-row games and stuff like that, we will be able to look at each matchup as a series and go from there. So going forward, we'll probably have a series review, what happened during the 2 or 3 times that the Avalanche played a specific team, as well as some general news.
I kind of like this setup. Playing the same team multiple times in a row.
Yes. It's what baseball does a lot, and I have to imagine that if you're a baseball fan, that must be pretty nice, just getting it all out of the way all at once.
So you guys might not be aware of this dynamic, but you're usually having the games between each team interspersed. You're playing a lot of different teams on any given day, or in any given week. And then when playoff time rolls around and you're facing the same team over and over again, shit gets real intense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to hope that we might have little like microcosms of that and just have like super intense games every now, like once or twice a week, essentially.
Well, stuff gets personal in hockey games. Like somebody hits you in a way you didn't like, and suddenly you're getting chippy at them, which means that they're going to get mad at you. And when you have games spread out over the course of like a year between teams, sometimes that kind of stuff can be forgotten. But when it happened to you literally yesterday, I feel like it's harder to let that kind of stuff go.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Hockey's already tight. Hockey's going to be double tight.
Yeah.
These guys are pretty much coming in blind almost entirely. We've shown clips of hits and fights and cool goals and compilations of various bullshit on YouTube, but they've sat through like parts of games or had games onto the side, but I think this is the first time they've actually gonna get a real effort going at understanding the game.
Yeah. So at least 50% of this podcast, if you are a new person who is watching hockey for the first time, you don't know anything, 50% of this podcast is right there with you. So if you're feeling lost, you're not the only one, and we're going to try to get them involved so that if they have any questions or anything like that, hopefully they end up saying something that you're thinking and answering it for you. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this.
Also, all 4 of us are nerds that grew up with a disdain for sports who found the love later in life, so.
So really quickly, just in case you actually know literally nothing about hockey, let's give just the quick little rundown of what goes on in a hockey game, if you want to take it from here, Jake.
So we have a little document here. You guys can't see it, but so essentially the makeup of a team, if you guys scroll down on the document, is you have forwards, which is the 3-column table here, defensemen, which is the 2, and then goalies who are at the bottom. So at any given time, you'll have 3 forwards on the ice, 2 defensemen, and generally one goalie, hopefully.
There are exceptions, but we will get to that later.
So they're referred to as lines, which is why they're lined up in rows. So, Burakovsky, McKinnon, and Rantanen, that top line is going to be the top line, going down to 4.
Yeah.
And then for the defensemen, it's going to be the top pairing, and then starter goalie and backup goalie.
Mm-hmm.
The positions on the lines for forwards are left wing for Burakovsky here, for example, Nathan McKinnon at center, and Mikko Rantanen at right wing. We had a little discussion yesterday where we were looking at an article on Evander Kane, and it was like the left winger. And the question was brought up, why did they mention that he's a left winger?
I'm like, no, Devin, that's his position he plays in hockey. He's like, oh.
So yeah, there's 3 forwards on the ice, 2 defensemen, generally. These lines are going to be pretty concrete.
Yeah.
The Avs don't necessarily adhere to that, but for a basic understanding of hockey at this time, yeah, these guys are going to be playing with each other.
Yeah, they are the best offensive players for the team, essentially.
Yeah, the top line is the best. The second line is like the really good guys. The third line is kind of
middle of the road or specialists. They do one thing
acceptable. Good. Yeah, it's like acceptable, but not exciting. And then the fourth line, this Tyson Jost, Bellemare, Calvert, those are going to be your special teams guys, your specialists, your guys that are maybe rookies trying to get a spot on the team further up, that kind of thing. Generally, they won't see like a ton of ice time per night, but they are there for utility, essentially.
Yes.
And we can kind of get more granular on these players. I have notes and stuff, but yeah, the basic thing is you're going to have these lines and then the defensive pairs, and the coach is generally going to try and match up what he thinks is favorable.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Well, so far this is working out all right.
Yeah. Hockey has a lot. I mean, you can look at hockey at the most like macro simple level, or you can get real deep and look at like some crazily annoying stuff. But
yeah, people can get really advanced on their stats.
So our top line would generally be considered maybe top 3 in the league.
I can accept that.
Some people might say it's the first. Some people might say the other 2. I think they're fucking stupid if that's what they think, but hey, it's cool.
Listen, I'm here at Daily Face-Off looking at the line combination, and they have us rated as number 1. So
like I said,
I'll take that
best line in the best top line in the league. So, you guys know who Nathan McKinnon is.
Yep.
You've heard us mention McKinnon. He's a frequent thing that is mentioned by us, person even. So, I don't have a lot of information to share about him in this table. He's the best player in the league.
Hands down.
Again, some people might dispute that. They'd be wrong. He goes by Nate Dogg, Mac, Nate. I call him God because holy fuck, bud. But saying somebody looks like cheat codes is like kind of it's a common saying in hockey for people that are good, but he literally looks like he has cheat codes turned on. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Once you start getting used to the game, like, what the fuck, dude?
This guy's got the console
crazy.
open 24/7.
Yeah, he makes fast people look slow, and he's not afraid to run you the fuck over if you're in his way.
And we watched that Forsberg video where he was throwing reverse hits. Mac's been doing those lately, so
yeah, that's pretty sick.
People will come in and try and lay him out, and he's like, no. So he's fucking good. McKinnon needs pretty much no introduction. Mikko Rantanen on the right there, he's also just exceptional. He's huge. They call him the Big Moose. When he scores, they shout about how the moose is loose. It's good stuff. But he can pass, he can shoot, he can skate, he can do it all. He is on the top line for a reason. I'd say he's maybe one of the more underrated players in the league, too. I feel like lately he's starting to get his due, but he kind of does everything he does quietly.
Mm-hmm. He's not a very flashy player. He is just good. Really good.
It was funny because in the playoffs, he didn't look great. Like, everyone was like, from the eye test, everyone's like, why does Mikko look like shit? And then you look and he has like, 25 points in 21 games or something, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, he's just so good, you don't even notice him being good. And,
Yeah.
you'll learn how, point per game, like, what to expect. You'll learn all that shit later. But just know, 25 points in 23 games in the playoffs is good. And especially since he did it looking like shit. Like, you watched him on the ice and you're like, what is this guy doing? Just shredding other teams quietly. Andre Burakovsky. Generally, Gabriel Landeskog, who's down here on the second line, would be in that spot. But we'll get to why that's not the case anymore in a bit. Burakovsky was on the Washington Capitals. We're not going to see them at all this season.
No.
And he was bad for them, mainly because he didn't get a lot of opportunity. So our team thought, we're going to get this guy. We're going to see how it works out. And as it turns out, it worked out pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
But we need to see if he can do it again. We gave him a little bit of an extension. We gave him some bucks. So the hope is that he can do it again. And the hope is that playing with McKinnon and Rantanen will just really cement him as, being worth the contract we signed him to. Landeskog is the captain of the team. He's fucking good. He's really good with McKinnon and Rantanen. But the reality is that he is mean.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've shown you guys some clips of he was behind the net with a player and was cross-checking them with a stick and then got him in the neck. I think I showed you guys that clip a while ago. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I believe you showed it to us literally a week ago.
Maybe so. But yeah, he's beefy. He's mean. He's strong. He is fucking beautiful.
He is a very gorgeous man.
I'm straight, but not that straight. His nickname is Gabriel Landeskog, Gabe the Babe. You'll hear him referred to as Landy. He's really good. Now, the thing is that him being mean pairs up really well on a line with his center, Nazem Kadri, whose name I just pronounced is Kadri, but his nickname is Naz, and the only note I have for him is, will fucking kill you.
Yeah, so...
Because he will fucking kill you.
So I want to talk a little bit about Nazem Kadri and Andre Burakovsky, because they're kind of similar situations, right? So they are both players who played for the third line on the teams that we traded them for. They didn't get a lot of ice time. They came here. They're playing a lot more, and they're able to kind of come in and shine. Burakovsky is a person who will put the puck in the net from insane angles, absolute like sniper, right? Nazem Kadri is more of a gritty dude. He's got some skill. He can put the puck in the net. He can bury it, but he can also bury you. We joke about last year somebody made a check to one of his teammates' heads, and it was the kind of hit that you would like to see a suspension for, but Nazem Kadri fought that man and injured him so badly that the conspiracy theory is that they didn't want to suspend him because he was already missing game time. So Nazem Kadri literally beat a suspension out of a person.
He is my favorite non-superstar player in the entire league. I, for a long time, was talking to Dakota and would say, man, I'd love to have Kadri on our team, dude, or someone like him. And then one day the trade happened, and I was like, well, I feel vindicated. This is pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Very
he's
exciting.
great. The guy to Naz's right is Brendan Saad. I've heard people call him Sauter.
I don't like that nickname. We'll have to come up with something better.
Yeah, that's a name. So you'll find out that hockey nicknames are pretty uncreative.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy named Patrick Kane, and his nickname is Kaner, for instance.
Wow.
So yeah, usually you shorten the name, add ER
or
Y,
yeah,
or just leave the shortened part of the name.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sauter, I guess.
We'll call him Saw. Shorten it up.
Bonesaw.
Bonesaw is ready.
So yeah, he's new. We traded away a very, according to some people, important physical presence on our team, Nikita Zadorov. You've seen hits from him. We traded that guy for this guy. So the idea is that this guy really rounds out our top 6 players, which is called that because that is the 6 best players we have at forward, if you were curious. So the idea is that he rounds it out. The idea is that he makes it the best top 6 in the league. He has been on good teams for his entire life. He has won cups. He has cup-winning experience, so that's useful in the room. He's awesome, hypothetically, from what I've seen in Chicago.
He's
and
also...
I think he'll come here, and I think he'll shred.
He's also not very old, which surprised me because the guy has 2 Stanley Cups and he's 28, which is about the prime for a hockey player.
He looks like a dad also.
Yeah, so theoretically, if he decided he wanted to stay here for a little bit, I think that'd be a good move for both parties if it works out this year.
Yeah, the big thing for him is that he has 1 year left on his contract, and we're about to have to pay Cale Makar, Gabriel Landeskog, and Nathan McKinnon within the coming years.
Yeah, bucks. Big bucks.
So now is the time that we want to win.
Yeah.
So the thought is that maybe he won't stay on the team past this year.
Which is reasonable.
But hey, he fucking might. And he might, some players take a deal to stay on good teams to keep the team from being less good.
Yeah.
But we'll just have to see. Any questions so far?
No.
Nope.
This is an info dump. I hope it's not too much.
No.
These are the boys you're going to be seeing every game you watch. And you are lucky to be seeing them, especially Landeskog, because holy fuck, what a smoke show.
You do not unsee Gabriel Landeskog in your retinas.
I'm straight, but not that straight. Yeah, so the third line, again, is, it's, I don't want to say mediocre players, but it is the players on the team who are starting to get lesser. The reality is that this is the best league in the world for hockey. Everybody who makes it in the league is going to be good, but it's all relative, and relatively these guys, for whatever reason, skill disparities, consistency disparities, or whatever, aren't as good as you might want them to be, but they all play a role, right? So we got, first up on the left, Valeri. How do you think you pronounce his last name?
Nichushkin?
Yeah, it's Nichushkin.
It's close.
He has a fucking name. He's a Russian. We call him Nuke.
Easy.
You're watching the Avalanche broadcast, they might call him the choo-choo train, which is funny, but I prefer Nuke.
Nuke. Nuke was one of the most hyped Russian players ever coming into a draft. He was supposed to be exceptional. People still talk to this day about how good he was when they played with him in junior years and stuff like that. Before we acquired him, he went 96 games without scoring a goal in the NHL. So, as you might imagine, didn't really work out that well for him.
That's because he played for the Stars, let's be real.
Yeah, fuck the Stars. But he was another instance of the team being like, well, let's give this guy a shot and see what he can do. And he did pretty fucking well. He actually had such good defensive numbers that some models said he was better than some of the best players in the league. Ugh. Evolving Wild said he was better than Leon Draisaitl. You guys don't know who that is, but...
Is that because Draisaitl can't play defense to save his life?
Yes.
Maybe scoring 127 goals isn't good if you're giving up 128?
Yeah, that's the thing. But so yeah, their model placed Nuke above Draisaitl, which was pretty fucking funny,
That's
bro.
Pretty fucking funny. For those who are unaware, Leon Draisaitl was named the MVP of the league last year because he is good at putting the puck in the net and getting other people to put the puck in the net. Unfortunately, he is a defensive black hole, but not in a good way.
But yeah, so it was actually pretty funny because Vegas, the odds were is he gonna? He has 95.5 is the over/under for when he's gonna score a goal.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And then he scored at 96, and I was like, how does Vegas do it? Because they had predicted this 40 games before or something. It was crazy. It was so funny, and they got it completely right.
Yeah, they set the over/under perfectly.
So he got a fat raise because he played really well, and the thought again is, can he do it again? The real big issue here is that Nichushkin, and then when you scroll up Burakovsky, the Avs are going to kind of rely on them to, maybe not excel what they did, but at least repeat it or get close to it, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't do that, then the Avs are still a great team, still one of the top teams, but if they continue to perform, they are the best team unequivocally. Yeah. So the hope is they do that.
Yeah, right now they are the best team, Vegas odds-wise, 6-1 to win the Cup. We are the favorites, for sure.
Yeah, Nuke's cool. In the middle, JT Compher. I put him in after I put in Naz, so whereas I saw that Naz will fucking kill you, people want to kill JT Compher. He is a bastard. He is such a motherfucker. He pisses people off all the time. He has dead eyes and a shit-eating grin. People hate him. The reason he's on the third line is because while he's pretty good, he's not very good. But he's cool. I like Comfort. He's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
People call him Jimothy Timothy.
Mm-hmm.
They also, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
is the
we'll explain
JT
it.
Is the JG Wentworth 877
Goals now.
like cash now?
JT Comfort 877 goals now is a call that the radio announcer for the Avalanche.
But is that a Colorado like company?
Oh, the JG Wentworth thing. I feel like people outside of Colorado have like made that reference, so I imagine that they go across the states.
It used to be on the TV extensively.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You guys are
so yeah,
they're in Carolina, we're in Colorado, so that's coast to coast. So everybody gets that reference. That's cool.
So yeah, his name is, they say, JT Comfort 877 goals now. It's good. It also, our favorite band is Between the Buried and Me. They have a song where the lyric is them screaming comfort, but it sounds like they're screaming comfort. So whenever he scores a goal, you'll find all of us screaming comfort over and over again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, him scoring a goal isn't particularly common, but when it happens, we're hyped.
Yeah. It's like when Wilson scored 2 years ago, and we just got to scream, Wilson!
Yeah. And then to his right, Jonas Donskoy.
Yeah.
Is actually how you pronounce it. He's going to be the future poster child for CTE, unfortunately.
Ugh.
Because my man gets his brain scrambled multiple times a season.
Ugh.
He's pretty good,
He's
honestly.
really good when he isn't injured, and unfortunately he just gets injured quite a bit.
Well, so not getting injured in the NHL is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always... Okay, so you can't always help it. But what he does is he'll keep his head down and skate through the middle of the ice with the puck where somebody's going to be trying to murder him, and they murder him. He plays in such a way that is very willful and energetic, and he tries really hard, and he's good.
Mm-hmm.
But he plays in such a way that people will target him because he isn't particularly careful. You'll regularly see like McKinnon dodging hits and stuff like that, and you just don't get that with Donskoy. He just kind of takes it.
He plays in a very aggressive way sometimes that really lends him to being in vulnerable positions.
So when Naz broke that guy's like cheekbone and his face is all bloody and shit,
beat the suspension out of him.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
The guy who that person hit was Donskoy.
Yeah.
Oh.
The joke for him is my name is Jonas. He doesn't really have like a nickname.
No.
Like Donnie, I guess. Donnybrook.
I mean, I guess you would call him Donnie, right?
Yeah. Or just Jonas or Jonas, however you want to say it. He's cool. He is maybe the person I feel like is the least Avalanche-y, maybe because he's hurt so much I haven't been able to like get that connection with the team, but he feels like kind of the odd man out to me. As much as I like him. That's a personal like weirdness thing. You guys still with us?
Yes.
Yep.
Further down, we got the fourth line, Tyson Jost. We drafted him for 10th overall in the first round a couple years ago, and he's kind of just been bad.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
The thought is he's young enough that maybe this is the year he finally breaks out, but people say that every year, so we'll see.
Yes.
If it doesn't work out this year, we probably ship him somewhere else.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because he was looking like he was probably going to be a pretty good prospect for us. Hopefully a third-line center or a second-line center. They moved him away from center a while ago. He's on the wings. So, I mean, he's on the outs, as you said. If he can't really get it together this year and prove that he is valuable, I mean, he's probably just gone.
Yeah. He signed league minimum contract this year,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty rare. In the middle there, we got Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. He is impossible to like.
You misread that one.
Impossible to dislike.
Uh-huh.
But his play is impossible to like. Smile. Because he's not great. He has his role. He's really good at face-offs. He's good at penalty killing. He's a fourth-line player. He's there for utility. Yeah. And people absolutely love him.
Yeah.
His name is Belly. His name is Pebbles. He's not good, unfortunately. And I think he's probably the first one to get replaced by some of these younger guys looking to break their way into the league.
I will push back a little bit. I feel like Pierre-Edouard Bellemare is not a bad player in so much as he is a more defensively focused player. And the thing with defensive players is you don't really notice them when they're doing well, right? And that's kind of a good thing, but it also just means that they are forgettable.
Yeah, but it's like, Gabe Bork was good at a lot of things, but if you can't score, you can't score,
Fair.
You don't stay in the league like that.
Mm.
But I mean, he's not objectively bad, but he's bad. But I like him. He's a good dude. People love him. Speaking of people that are loved, Matt Calvert.
I love this man. I will die for this man. Matt Calvert, you need me to do anything for you, I will do it.
I too would die for this man. He is the locker room dad. He is a whirlwind of energy and hate. He will he doesn't give a shit. He's like 5'4" and will fight people that are 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care.
He almost fought the entire Detroit Red Wings bench a couple years ago. He was ready to fucking go.
Everybody loves him. He gets injured for the same reasons Donskoy does, where he just doesn't care. He'll stand up for anybody. He'll do anything. He's not as skillful as Donskoy is, but he is another fan favorite just because he's awesome. Unfortunately, he's probably one of the first on the chopping block when these younger guys are making their way into.
Maybe, perhaps, but I feel like Matt Calvert plays a really important role on the team that is maybe a little unsung, and that is the heart and soul kind of guy, right? Like that guy that people will go to bat for because they know that he will go to bat for them. He came to us from Columbus during free agency, and one of the favorite things that people like to point out is the game where he took a puck to the face, had to get 30 stitches or something, came back and scored the game-winning goal. This guy has an unreal amount of heart.
There's a clip out there of him seeing a guy coming from 10 miles away who's just going to murder him, but he takes that hit to pass the puck to McKinnon so McKinnon can score.
Yeah.
He is awesome. I love him.
Yeah.
I want him to be an Av for life. I wish he was my dad. Yeah, that's the forwards. It was a little long-winded. We kind of just busted through the list because, hey, it's all of them.
Listen, I was going into
you're watching the whole team, so.
No, sorry. Listen, I was going into hockey basics, and you're just here's the basics of the team. But that's fine.
Yeah, fuck you. I just had to sit here and vindicate the work that I did putting this together.
You did a lot of good work, and I really appreciate you putting this together.
We'll skip through these prospects pretty quickly. Alex Newhook, you saw him at the WJCs. He's fucking good. He's going to replace Kadri in the future. He could play this year, he could not. Shane Bowers, he's fine. He'll be a depth player, third, fourth line, but again, we need those players, and he'll be a pretty good player to have. He probably plays a game or two this season. Same with Martin Kaut, a decent player. Not great at anything, but pretty good at everything. He'll be a guy, he'll be like a rock that you rely on. And that's the same with Logan O'Connor. He is scary, as you can see from this picture. The thing that's notable about Logan O'Connor is that he was undrafted, and then he kind of just came into the American Hockey League, which is a league below the NHL, and was like, "Hey, I'm good, by the way." And they were like, "Oh, wow, you definitely are." And now he's fighting for a spot on the bottom line. He's trying to break his way into the NHL. He wasn't drafted, but he's good. So hey, live your fucking life, man. You're killing it.
Yeah. Just to reiterate, these are all forward prospects for anybody who kind of lost the thread there. Logan O'Connor specifically is the person that they will probably call up first because he is the most experienced guy out of the bunch. He also had a really good showing in the playoffs last year when people were injured. They called him up. They were like, "Hey, play for us," and he really made his case. He played really well in the games he played.
He kind of has that Comfer energy. He's like a mix between Comfer and Calvert, where he just kind of goes hard, but also pisses people off. I like him. I'm excited. And honestly, the Avs have had a problem of keeping old guys around for too long and gimping their prospects of chances for the sake of experience of older guys being there to mentor and stuff. And that's kind of starting to not be a problem anymore. So I'm excited to have a pretty nicely homegrown bottom six.
Yeah, for sure.
For the most part, right? It's good stuff. I think we can probably, bust through defensemen pretty quickly.
Yeah, there are far less defensemen than there are forwards.
Yeah, forwards are the big thing. Devon Taves, Devi Toes is what I'm going to call him, but his name's pronounced Taves. He's new. He's really good. People underrate him in the league because he was on a team that wasn't popular. We have to see if he can pull it off here, but we kind of fleeced the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
By getting him.
The thing with Taves is that he is exceptional on offense and exceptional on defense. He doesn't give up a lot of high danger chances, but he ends up making high danger chances for the offense. So, like, kind of the perfect player for the team, really.
We just signed him for 4 years, so he better be good here, but I think he will be. Next to him, Cale Makar. Again, needs no introduction. He just won the best rookie last year, but he's better than players in the league anyway.
Yeah.
You know, he's great on offense, great on defense. Quinn Hughes can't hold a candle to him, honestly.
I need to go on a rant later on. I'm going to write that down in the show notes, but please continue.
Yeah, he's good at everything. You've seen clips of him. You'll see lots of him. He's good, and he has sweet little rosy cheeks. He's a nice boy. And then you hear him shout, "Get the fuck out of the way" at the ref, and you're like, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he is another player that makes fast players look slow.
Yeah. His main problem last year was, the net is made of posts, metal posts. He would get so close to scoring so many more goals, but he'd hit the post and the puck would bounce out. And so I think he led the league in post hits.
Mm-hmm.
And so he fucking hate posts. All my homies hate posts, especially Cale.
Yeah.
Down one more row, second pairing. And again, first through third pairing, it's going to be a similar skill gap, right? It's going to be a similar situation where your best guys, your good guys, and then your situational guys. But on the second line here, we got Samuel Girard, Spinny Boy, as I like to call him.
Mm-hmm.
Le Tourneau, because he's French. He's short. So he kind of has to make do with skill and smart play. And he does that. He is very mobile. He is very elusive. He's cool.
He's very possession-oriented. He's good at making sure that his team gets and keeps the puck. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't throw into the hat another one of his nicknames made by my mother, who got a shout-out on the actual broadcast, is they kind of chuckled about it, is a twirly bird, because he twirled. So you're welcome, Sam Girard. We put that out there. I don't know if you got shit for that or not, but you know who to blame now.
Yeah, I don't think any other player in the entire game spins as much as he does.
No.
The clips I was going to break down for you after the podcast involved him in a lot of situations. Yeah, he's 5'7". Everyone else in the league is like 6'2" at least, so
damn,
he's got to make do. Women hate small guys. Smile. Next to him, we got Connor Timmins. He's a case. He's an interesting thing. He was rated in the top 50 prospects. We drafted him with Cale Makar. And then my boy got smashed in the face and missed an entire year because of a concussion. So he's been set back. He's still really good, but he came back and played one game in the playoffs and got hurt again on like a kind of dinky play. So the worry is that maybe he's not fully recovered, or maybe he's just susceptible but you know the word, fuck off.
Susceptible.
Yeah, he's that to concussions because he had such an intense one.
Yeah.
That's the worry, is his ability to stay healthy. But he's fucking good. He is as good at hockey as he is goofy looking. So, immensely. But yeah, so he's still new to the team because of that. On the bottom, we got Ryan Graves. He's gravy. He's pretty good. I think he's kind of overpaid. He's just a solid defender. He led the league last year in plus minus. So when your team scores a goal, you get a plus. When the other team scores a goal, you get a minus. This is all when you're on the ice. So he had the best plus minus in the entire league. But, he's good. He's good, not great.
Yeah. Plus minus is a stat that is not a be-all, end-all. It can be kind of meaningless, but when it's extreme, like you have a large plus or a large minus, that's where you kind of glean the meaning.
Yeah. So he's a good player.
He is good.
We thought he was going to be in the AHL, American Hockey League, for life. We acquired him for just about nothing, and then randomly he's an NHL mainstay for us now. Yep. So, hey, get fucked the Rangers. Then next time we have Ian Cole, who is beautiful.
Yes.
He's mean. His ass is deadly. He will murder you with his ass. He killed our goalie with his ass.
Yep.
Took him out for 30 games.
Damn.
He's old. He's slow. He's still pretty good, but he's going to be a guy who's on the way out since rookies are knocking at the door.
He is a person who might overachieve because there are people looking to take his job, and he's got to work for that job security.
He had double hip surgery and still shredded the league defensively.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Ian Cole is a badass.
I love him. So yeah, that's the team. Other than goalies, which we'll go through, but that's the main team.
Yep.
On the other notable D and rookies section, got Eric Johnson with that beautiful picture there. My man has no teeth. He was our best defender. He's all hurt all the time, and he's old, so he's kind of on his way out too. But we love him. He'll probably be back in the lineup replacing Timmins here, but last we heard he was not allowed in the practice facility, so I think that sounds like COVID to me.
Yeah. Once a year, I go to an Avalanche game that EJ is involved in, either a play where he gets suspended or a play where he gets injured. So, EJ, if you don't want me around, I will accept bribe money.
Below that, we got Bowen Byram. He was in that World Juniors game we watched together. You heard us gushing about him the whole time. He's NHL ready. I think he probably plays this year.
Yeah.
He could play anywhere from 6 to 56 games, depending on how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right now he's in Colorado quarantining, but the idea is that he plays as soon as the quarantine's over, which I believe is Saturday. He's projected to play with Makar in the future as a top pairing, and that's maybe going to be the best pairing of defensemen in the entire league. Get fucked to the NHL.
Yeah. So, for context, Cale Makar came in, he was Rookie of the Year, but he was just really, really good, not just compared to rookies, but other players. This guy could be as good. We haven't seen it yet because he just hasn't played, but he could just be as good as Cale Makar, and that is very exciting if you are an Avalanche fan, and very scary if you are not.
Yeah, adjusting to the NHL is hard, so he could have a period where he's struggling, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then Dennis Gilbert, not really noticeable. He's going to be a depth pairing. You might see his name. And then we got Philip Grubauer as a goaltender. Starter, he's very good. He got murdered by Ian Cole's ass. The worry is, can he stay healthy? Because in the playoffs, he made a routine save and then ripped his groin in half, so.
Yeah.
Ow!
He did get surgery during the off season, so the hope is that he stays healthy, because when he is healthy, he's a pretty damn good tendy.
What I saw is that Francois is actually the only app who got surgery this offseason.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting. Well, Grubauer, hope your groin is good. We love you, buddy.
We've had tons of goalies with groin problems.
Yeah.
Normally that's because the goalie has to carry the team on their back, but Yeah, and then behind him we have Pavel Francois. His last name means Frenchman, which is pretty funny. I typed here that he comes from the Monka's school of goaltending because he never looks like he has it together, but he always makes the save.
Yep, he plays a pretty wacky style of goaltending.
But he's good. People thought he was bad in the playoffs. It turns out he was playing with broken fingers, so... And I think another injury that he had to get surgery for. So, yeah, that's the team. That was long-winded. That was a lot. I'm sorry. I didn't think that would be so much. But
no, you're fine. I mean, this is primarily going to be an Avalanche podcast. If you're looking to watch the game coming from nothing, I think that's a perfect amount of information. I think you did a great job. Folks,
I just said 20 to 30 minutes.
Folks at home don't have access to this awesome document you put together, but it was sick, and I hope that Devin and Dylan were really helped out by it.
I am definitely going to have this open during games.
The idea is that it's there to reference, so I think it'll be good. I think the pictures will be good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of info. I don't expect you to have retained almost any of it other than Ian Cole. I mean, yeah, Ian Cole is deadly ass. Nathan McKinnon is God.
Yep.
Landeskog has a deadly good looks. You know, the important shit. But I feel like a lot of the fun of following sports ends up being that you start to appreciate the guys that are out there.
Yes.
You have no real connection to them, right? Like, obviously, but, you know, you spend a lot of time watching these dudes. You see interviews, you see interactions with them. The idea is that maybe you see them when you go to games and shit, but hey, not right now.
Yeah.
But so I think knowing the players is one of the things that has kept me even more interested than normal, is having like a good grasp on that.
Yeah, you have a kind of a rooting interest almost, and I think that's the one thing that I also appreciate about hockey is that it has gotten me to a certain point that I've never gotten with any other sport, where there are individual players that play for other teams and stuff like that that I do like, hell yeah, like I will watch this person because they're good at what they do, or I think that they're a good person, and feel good about watching other teams succeed.
Yeah, I end up really rooting for the team that's local to you guys, actually, the Hurricanes.
Yes.
I'd say they're my second favorite team in the league, but the Avs are the heart and soul boys.
Mm-hmm.
Not even necessarily because Colorado, but I just like the Avs, man. They're a fun style of play to watch. They actually are the only team that has gone full in on just pure speed and skill, whereas a lot of other teams still have, a lot of relics of like grit and fighting and anger. The Avs are pretty much entirely built for, again, speed and skill, and other teams are looking at them in the league, seeing how the experiment, if you will, plays out for them, because they're trying to be the archetype for what the game looks like in the future.
Yes.
So that could either be really bad or really good. So far, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that being the Vegas favorites and having such an exciting team to watch going into this probably bodes really well for them.
Yeah, if you don't like watching a good team shred all the time, that maybe this experiment was about the perfect thing that would get you into it if you were going to get into it. So if this doesn't work, then this doesn't work, man.
Yeah.
But us having enthusiasm and knowledge hopefully at least puts you in a place where if it is of interest to you, you give a fuck.
Yeah.
So we can do a quick rundown of some administrative stuff and then call this thing. We can go into the more specific points of hockey off air. I think that'll be okay.
Yeah.
In terms of like skills and
we'll save that for a future episode, I think, because I still think that it's probably worth discussing. But I know that we are worried about going a little bit too long, a little bit too boring. We can kind of probably just move on to some stuff that might be a little bit more fun, I guess, or at least.
I think we drop the division. I think we drop some Avs talk, and then I think we call it.
Yeah.
So this year's a little different. We're going to be back at the top of the document here.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you're playing in you're playing teams all over the country and in Canada. This year, we're relegated to just our division. So these teams you see here, these are the only teams we're playing. Nobody else until the playoffs happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whoever wins, it's a Thunderdome, 4 different Thunderdomes, and then whoever wins each of those Thunderdomes gets placed in to fight for the Stanley Cup, which is an uncommon thing. But the fact that you're going to be playing the same team so many times, as stated before, is going to be so sick, I think.
Do you know if they are still doing the 16 teams move on format?
No. From what I've heard, they're not doing that.
Oh, interesting. I guess
From
I just
what
don't
I've
know
heard, it's
what the
normal
playoff format is.
You get the seeds from the division, and then they go play like normal, I think.
Really? Okay, so no wild card then.
I don't know about the wild card thing.
Okay.
That's something I'd have to check. But what I saw initially was that the 16-team extra bullshit is maybe not going to happen this year.
Oh, no.
But that they were interested.
No. The 16 teams wouldn't be the extra. It'd be the 3 from each division plus the wild card. That's the 16-team format.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was shitting words out of my mouth, man.
No,
I just talked for an hour. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a normal format playoff-wise.
Oh, okay, cool.
And not what they did last year for COVID. But that they liked what they did for COVID and might give more teams a chance to play for playoffs in the future because Bucks.
So, being an Av-centric podcast for the most part, it makes sense if we just go right into the division that the Avalanche are playing, since these are the teams, if you're following along with us, that you're going to be seeing over the course of the season. So the Avalanche are playing in the Honda West division this year. Thank you, COVID. Branding is sick.
They were like, we're going to lose money, so we need to name the divisions with brands. So we got Honda.
We got Honda.
Wow.
Could be worse.
Yeah. We're the E-Honda division, so that's pretty sick. So the Honda West consists of your Colorado Avalanche, as well as the Vegas Golden Knights, the St. Louis Blues, the Minnesota.
Just cut off there real quick. Those are the only teams worth giving a shit about.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't help but notice the poop emojis next to the rest of the teams.
Oh.
The Avs, people are going to be mad, and I swear to God, they're going to use this to downplay the team. Are surrounded by dog shit.
I see.
Well, so anyways, let's just name the dog shit real quick. So the Minnesota Wild, the Arizona Coyotes, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Kings, and San Jose Sharks are all in our division. As we stated, those teams are not doing so good. Each and every one of them seems to be in some sort of rebuild situation where they are looking to build the future rather than play for the now. I would say that if any of them were to compete for a wild card spot, it might be the Coyotes. That might be iffy.
I don't agree with you.
Yeah?
They lost Taylor Hall, and they lost a couple other pieces. They're just strictly worse.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but, like, I don't think the Wild has it in them to try to compete for a wild card spot like that. They got worse, too. So then who is it?
I think that it could be the Kings.
The Kings?
I think it could be the Kings or the Ducks, depending on if their new rookies turn up like you might want them to.
Well, Byfield is the guy that the Kings just drafted in the latest draft, 2nd overall. He's practicing with the team. There were questions as to whether or not Byfield was going to come in and Turcotte, their other big guy. I hope they get a chance to play, honestly, because watching young people play for spots is pretty fun.
Who else is going to play? They don't have any players.
Yeah, I mean,
they're worth a shit.
So
last I heard, Turcotte was at camp.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's the Kings then, which, I mean, fine by me. That's my girlfriend's team. I follow them not as much as I follow the Avalanche because, man, following the Avalanche can be hard in and of itself. But, I mean, listen.
I should say I think the Sharks could make a push, too.
Oh, I just think that they didn't change anything in goal. They don't have good goaltending. They lost Evander Kane to bankruptcy.
They lost Evander Kane to the casinos.
And I mean,
that dirty left winger.
They have Erik Karlsson, and who has a cyborg foot. And
Erik Karlsson has never had more than 3 months to recover.
Yeah,
from his ankle thing.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that maybe now he's in a better position.
There's a chance. I'm saying that there's still talent there. So here's 2 big things.
Okay.
Karlsson, Burns. That team has some other people. Kutcher is pretty good. They lost Thornton, but like, what is he doing anyway?
Yeah.
And I think Los Angeles Kings. I think Drew Doughty is going to be so pissed that everyone's been talking shit about how bad he is that he's just going to like baby rage his way back to being good for at least a season.
I'd like to make another appeal for the Sharks, I guess. I mean, I know I said that they didn't have a lot going on, but what about my boy Matt Nieto?
Yeah, he's not going to move any needles.
Hey, listen.
He was an ex-Av. He was an Avalanche last year, so that's why he's notable.
Listen, I won't stand any sort of bad talk about my sweet boy Matt Nieto.
Long Beach native.
Matt Nieto.
Yeah, so the idea here is that one of them are going to have to make a push for something, right?
Yeah.
So it's worth discussing who might be the best among the trash, but they all suck.
Yeah.
I think is what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Barring a catastrophic thing from any of the top 3 teams that I have highlighted there.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of, what you're looking at.
Yeah.
I also don't think the St. Louis Blues are as good as they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think they lost a lot.
So let's go back just a little bit because we did mention it a little bit before we started this podcast. I do think that hockey is a game of mentality and a game of momentum and stuff like that. So even if your team is bad, if you're playing a bunch of other bad teams and you're getting that winning momentum, players can certainly overachieve and gain confidence in what they're doing. That doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen here, but I mean, when most of the division is bad.
The Avs succeeded on having a really good locker room for like a couple years.
Yeah.
More recently here, where the team was rough, but everybody loved playing with each other so much that they just like played really well.
They overachieved. The mentality and momentum were there. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm lending that to your point.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's exactly where they came from.
That wasn't me arguing. That was me. Yeah.
Listen, fuck you. Do you guys have any questions? Do you have any statements? Is there anything? I'm trying to not just vomit words.
Yeah.
I'll probably have more to ask about when I'm watching. Because
can't really go, no, you're wrong or I don't understand when it's an info dump, you know?
Yeah. Well, I figure checking in at least. I think follow the poop emojis.
Yeah.
Okay.
For this one. Colorado and Vegas, I think, are the top two. I think the Blues are a distant third, and then everyone else is fighting.
Yeah. I can't say I really disagree with that. I think that the Avalanche and Vegas might be a really interesting rivalry this year. Every single game that they play against each other is intense and like really hard hitting, and this is before they're going to be playing each other like 8 times this season. Even when one team is blowing out the other team, like there's some stuff going on, and I don't know. I'm excited about it, and I am afraid of it.
And Vegas has a guy on their team that can catch punches midair, so
he knows kung fu.
Ryan Reeves, Kung Fury.
I remember watching that. It was really funny.
Yeah, so there's going to be some violence. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
I think that's most of what I have to say about the Honda West.
Yeah, I will note that Avalanche Blues is still going to be a really tough matchup. I think, not that I'm worried about the Avalanche's chances in those games, but the Blues are a big, hard, heavy hitting team that basically, I wouldn't say plays to injure, but they really like being hard on their opponents. They are a team that was in a division with the Avalanche before this divisional realignment, so there is history there. The Avalanche don't like the Blues don't like the Avalanche, so that is something to keep an eye on.
They've had our number in a lot of respects.
Yes.
The biggest question about the Avs' proposed style of play, the way they built the team with that speed and that skill, is can they stand up to a team being rough? And a lot of the time that answer is yes. But there have been some pretty critical moments, including the playoffs last year, where that answer was maybe not so much. Now, there were other factors that went into that. The Avs had like 7 injured people. If you have 7 injured people on your fucking team, like, you're just hoping for the best. You're not trying to win at that point. You're trying to not lose. They had a lot of really key players injured. So, yeah, that's the worry, is that the Blues will just shred us because of the stylistic differences.
So sweet. I guess now we just kind of move on to news. I don't have a whole lot here.
Send up the cows on Sportsnet, Do we want to bash news here? I thought we were going to push that off this time.
Just a quick set of news, because I think that this is a pretty lighthearted thing that I want to bring up. And we'll
Vander Kane's gambling addiction. No.
No, that is not lighthearted. So it was announced yesterday, the Colorado Avalanche are getting an outdoor game again this year. They had one last year. It was a fucking disaster.
Somebody died.
People left 5 hours early to go to the game and ended up being 2 hours late because traffic was awful. Unmitigated, horrible situation. We get another one this year. There will be no fans. They were playing next to Lake Tahoe on a golf course. They are building a hockey rink in the middle of the fairway on the 18th hole of a golf course next to Lake Tahoe, and it's probably the most ridiculous and funny thing that I've ever heard in my life, and it brings me a great amount of joy.
The game of hockey was born on a lake, so they decided to have an event at the lake. Everyone thought, hey, they'll probably play on the lake. No. They're playing next to the lake.
Playing next to the lake. We can't guarantee that Lake Tahoe will be frozen, so...
Lake Tahoe never freezes, which is something I didn't know until I was reading about this and was like, really? How does that work?
Okay, listen, here's what they do. They go to my second favorite sport, and they play a game of water polo in Lake Tahoe.
Fuck, dude. Yeah, there was an interview with Belmar and Burakovsky today, and they were like, "Hey, Belmar, how are you? Are you excited about this Lake Tahoe game?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've never played on a lake before." And Burakovsky was like, "We're not playing on the lake," and he's like, "What?" And Burakovsky's like, "Yeah, we're playing on the 18th hole." And Belmar is like, "No!" Like he looked so sad. Yeah, I saw some people on Reddit. People even made fun of the Spit and Chicklets guys because they were like, "You're not playing on the lake," and people were like, Tahoe doesn't freeze, idiots." And it's like, if they're playing at a lake, I would expect them to play on the lake.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. The whole thing
Hockey
is,
was born on a lake.
yeah, Canadians and people in northern states here in the U.S., they play on frozen lakes. They move that frozen biscuit around. They get their hot cocoa from their moms, and it's a great experience for everybody involved.
Hometown hockey heroes TM. But instead, let's play on a lake in Nevada. Smile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought that was funny. I figured the two of you would appreciate it. Me and Jake have already talked about it.
It's pretty fucking good.
So fucking stupid, bro. I don't know. I don't have much else. There's some stuff that is up in the air still this season. There's something called a Taxi Squad, which is extra characters. Damn.
Yeah,
extra characters, champions. You have extra champions that you keep in quarantine so they can play if you need them to.
Yeah,
essentially
your main champ dies and you just get to switch over.
Of course.
But yeah, we don't know what that looks like for the Avs yet. That was supposed to be announced today, but wasn't. So
yeah,
I think that's it. I think that's what I have.
Yeah, I mean that's basically everything I wanted to go over. I had a little bit of a rant planned about Vancouver, but I will just forego that one today. Save that for.
We'll leave it at this. We'll leave it at this. Vancouver sucks. Their fans are a bunch of bitches.
Damn.
Fuck you. Smile. With a smile. God bless.
Smile, God bless, end of podcast.
But yeah, if you guys don't have anything else to say, I think we call it there.
Yeah.
Are you excited? Did this help or hurt?
I am more interested now that I have an idea of what to look for.
Now you have personal investment. And either today or tomorrow, we'll probably sit down with some plays and just show you what good plays look like so you can be like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that Devin and Dylan really got something out of this. I hope that if you're listening at home, this wasn't too much for you. I know it was a lot of information. Take it at your own pace. We'll be back. There will be less info dumps specifically about like the team and everything going forward. It'll be a little bit more of a recap-centric thing. So if you stuck with us through this one, hopefully this is the roughest that it gets. So Devin and Dylan, I know that you guys are not on the social media, so I won't ask you to plug anything. However, me and Jake are. Jake, if they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter at Anime as Leaders. I post about politics and hockey, and maybe anime sometimes. All things that hockey fans are well known to be enjoying of, especially anime.
They really need to make a live action adaptation of that hockey manga that came out a while ago because I would be very interested in that. You can find me on Twitter at Kumodere. That's Kumodere. I'm not really active there, though I definitely would be more active once this podcast is up and running and going full swing. You could probably expect a little bit of the same from me, as you see from Jake. A little bit of politics, lots of hockey. Thank you if you hung around this long. We hope to see you next time. Have a good one.
Later.
See ya.